Buenos dias, all. RGT85 here. No, I'm not Scott the Woz, but when was the last time you got a new Scott episode? See, I will be your Scott. Like when JonTron went away and then everyone started loving Scott, you could love me instead of Scott. I don't know. We've got some video game news to talk about today. 3 stories going on that I definitely want to cover. 1 involving PlayStation, technically 1.5 involving PlayStation, and 1.5 involving Nintendo. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, I am doing an official giveaway right now. There is a link in the description box and a link in the pinned comment in the comment section down below that will take you to a tweet. When you go to that tweet, then you're entered to win a contest, and within this contest, you can win up to $100 in Nintendo Switch eShop, PlayStation Network, or Xbox Live gift cards. Brett, good luck editing that so it looks nice and fancy and keeps people entertained within the first minute. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. We're going to start things off with a PlayStation 5 related story because for some reason, people are talking about this, and I don't get it. You know, I guess I do get it. We're always on the pursuit for the next thing. We're always on the pursuit for things like new hardware. Even when we have hardware currently that's not fully realized and fully utilized, we still want the next thing. And you could say that, yes, it's time for a new Nintendo Switch, but I don't think anyone's really sitting there saying, well, damn it, I need a new PlayStation 5. It's gone on long enough, okay? I'm tired of this current PlayStation 5 I have. We need a revision. Well, according to Insider Gaming's Tom Henderson, who we've talked about on this channel before, Sony has some unrelated, unannounced hardware in development. And people are running with this story, man. It's like a whole big to-do. Now, this is the same person that talked about the PlayStation 5 Pro potentially coming at the end of 2024. And this was a thing that they said was pretty much, you know, what they believe is to be happening. There's also unannounced PlayStation hardware being worked on as well. And it's like, okay, you know, when it really boils down to it, every video game company is always working on new hardware. They're always working on new hardware. The second a piece of hardware is done, they move on to the next thing. Whether that next thing is fully realized or not, you know, who's to say? There's obviously tons of concepts that we've seen throughout the years with video game systems, things that were supposed to come out and then never came out for whatever reason, things that were maybe conceptualized but never really fully realized as far as hardware is concerned. So I'm sure that Sony is working on new hardware. I'm sure they're working on something related to the PlayStation 5, even potentially related to a PlayStation 6, trying to figure out, you know, what sort of chips you can use, what sort of processor you can use, what sort of technology will be within this. But that doesn't say anything about the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 hasn't, in my opinion at least, we haven't, you know, scratched the surface of what this system is capable of doing, what any of these next-gen systems are really capable of doing. Sure, we've seen some visually impressive things, but most of the first-party games, which are always usually going to be the games that push the genre and push the mediums that we see on these consoles, all the first-party games, for the most part, have been, you know, also on the PlayStation 4. So sort of bottlenecking what you can actually do because you have to have a version that runs on this system. I think your games like Spider-Man 2, your games like Wolverine, these are going to be the games that really showcase the power of the PlayStation 5 with hopefully no PlayStation 4 versions because, I mean, I got to be real with you guys. This whole next generation thing, it's been seeming kind of pointless. We haven't been getting the banger titles, really. We haven't really seen anything pushing things that were like, okay, well, this definitely couldn't have been done on the PlayStation 4. This definitely could have been done on an Xbox One. So hopefully that's what's coming up soon. Yeah, I kind of went off topic with this. What else is new here? Like, that's kind of what I do. But yes, evidently, Sony is working on new hardware. Whoopity-doo!
See, nobody cares.
Next up, fighting fans have another exciting game to look forward to in 2023. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff coming out. You got Street Fighter 6, you allegedly have Mortal Kombat 12, you have a new Tekken coming out, but it seems like King of Fighters might be getting some love as well, as announced at EVO very recently. It actually came out as news on April 1st, and many people were like, well, is this real or is this not real? And yes, it is indeed real. King of Fighters 13 will be coming to the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 with a new edition called King of Fighters 13 Global Match. Now, what makes this different than the original version of King of Fighters 13 is that it features rollback netcode and improved online functionality along with some other tweaks. Now, rollback netcode is, of course, something that if you're playing fighting games, you kind of want to have that. It helps with things like input lag. It really makes for a much better experience when you play a fighting game online that features, you know, a heavy assortment of moves and a heavy assortment of different things, you want to have rollback netcode because you can feel the difference. You know, it might not seem like all that crazy, but if you put them side by side, there's obviously a large substantial difference when you're talking about rollback netcode. Now, while the PlayStation has been getting King of Fighters titles, more of the recent King of Fighters titles, the Nintendo Switch has not been. So I think this is really cool in terms of, you know, a newer-ish fighter coming to the Switch system. The King of Fighters franchise is something that I really was never into until I got like the little SNK stand-up arcade cabinet, the MVSX. And like it has all the King of Fighters on there, and I was like, what are these games? Like I always see these characters, you know, I always see Terry Bogard and stuff like that. Like what are these games about? And like actually digging into them and like the Fatal Fury stuff and all that stuff, like it's absolutely fascinating. Like all the different characters that are picked from within the SNK universe, and these games are awesome. Like these games are super good. I think they sort of fly under the radar. You know, those games like King of Fighters, games like Samurai Showdown, they're not like the top of the line billing. You know, they're not your Street Fighters, they're not your Tekkens, they're not your Mortal Kombats, but they're that secondary tier, which you can make an argument that the gameplay in those games is better than what we see in the gameplay in some of the more mainstream games. And obviously these games have huge followings and stuff like that. I'm very curious to see how this all works out. You know, I am a fan of SNK fighting games. I loved Samurai Showdown on the Switch. I think it's one of the best fighters on the system, like in terms of quality, in terms of frame rate. They got 60 frames per second and handheld mode out of the damn thing. Like that's one of my favorite fighting games on the Switch. So I think this is going to be super cool. I will be definitely checking out King of Fighters 13 Global Match. Will you be checking it out though? Maybe we could play online, maybe not, but maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not good at the game. And then you beat me, and then you go on Twitter and you're like, oh, I beat RGT. He sucks at games. Like, you got me. You got me, Buster. And finally, a very interesting addition is coming to Nintendo Switch Online, and it involves Pokemon. So I'm sure all those Pokemon YouTubers who are patiently waiting for that performance patch that's definitely coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's never coming. You people are so foolish. I'm sure they're very excited about this because a new Nintendo Switch Online game, you know, there was the whole rumor that Pokemon Red and Blue were going to be announced and revealed for the Game Boy on the Nintendo Switch Online at the latest Pokemon Presents presentation. That didn't end up happening, but now you have your Pokemon game. It's just Pokemon Stadium on the N64. Now, this game has just been announced. It will be releasing on April 12th, but usually that's April 12th for Japan. So it usually comes out on April 11th stateside, which is, of course, next week. And this is Pokemon Stadium, which was kind of an interesting game where you would transfer your Pokemon from your Game Boy games to your N64 via the N64's transfer pack, and then play them on the big screen and battle them against your friends and stuff like that. It was a really sort of innovative thing back when Nintendo used to be sort of on the cutting edge of technology. You know, the whole combining your home handheld or your home console and your handheld was something that Nintendo did really well. Things like the Super Game Boy, things like the transfer pack, things like the Game Boy Advance link cable for the GameCube. But somewhere along the ways, they just decided, you know what, we don't really care about technology. But what makes this whole thing interesting is, like I said, the whole premise of Pokemon Stadium was taking the Pokemon that you had and then importing them into the game and then battling them with your friends. Now, Nintendo has gone on record as clarifying and saying that they are reiterating this release will not support transferring Pokemon from the Game Boy games, which, I mean, that's something that has been rumored. Supposedly, there was link cable stuff that was found within the source code of Nintendo Switch Online related stuff, and that was supposed to be a thing because it makes sense. Like, I'm not quite sure what's the point of this game if you can't import like your own Pokemon and stuff like that. Like, I feel like it'll still be cool to play. I've never played this game before. Pokemon Stadium was, you know, that sort of came out when my Pokemon fandom was ending. I know you could battle online with people based on the trailer. There's a bunch of mini games that people seem to really enjoy as well, and I'm sure there's some nostalgic level for this, but I feel like most of the nostalgia is going to be from importing your own Pokemon that you had within the game. So, you know, Nintendo Switch Online can be very hit or miss. I think this is a good thing in terms of adding more Pokemon games and more variety to the system. But, like, I also feel like, is this the one game for the month? Like, is there going to be more stuff? We haven't had Genesis stuff in a while. You know, isn't it time to upgrade the Genesis stuff? Like, the whole drip feed, I've said it a million freaking times. I can't stand the fact that we don't know when anything is happening. I don't understand why we can't have a schedule when, like, okay, it's the first of the month, you're going to get this, you get this on the 15th, and then rinse and repeat. Like, it would make so much sense. But sell me on Pokemon Stadium in the comments section down below. And is this a game worth playing if you can't do things like transfer your Pokemon from the original games that you have? Because I kind of don't see the point unless you can do that. So let me know in the comment section down below what this game is really all about and if I would like it, because chances are I probably won't. Alrighty, so that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. Lots of topics we talked about in today's video. You know, good little smorgasbord here. I'm definitely stoked for King of Fighters 13 global match though. I think that's going to be super cool. You know, more fighting games on the Switch, the better, and like the more, you know, modern fighting games on the Switch, the better. Like, we have so many classics on there. Although I would love a Mortal Kombat collection. I think that would be dope as hell. You know, we have so many classics on there. It's good to see modern stuff get on there as well because of the whole portability aspect. Are you interested in whatever PlayStation is doing with new hardware? I guess that's a thing. And of course, the Nintendo Switch Online stuff. Is this update worthwhile to you? Because seems kind of pointless to me. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not super familiar. I'm not the PokeTuber. I'm not the Nintendo YouTuber. I'm the Knicks YouTuber. Go Knicks! We're in the playoffs, baby. And as always, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys enter the contest in the description box down below and in the pinned comment in the comment section down below. Thanks to Brett for editing this video. I didn't feel like doing it. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.